The Brooklyn Nets have their next head coach. No, it is not Tyronn Lue. No, it is not Jeff Van Gundy or Mark Jackson. No. The new Brooklyn Nets head coach is none other than Steve Nash. I'm sure you guessed that one, right? I had no clue that Steve Nash would even consider a head coaching job at this time in his life. Now, I did know this. I'd heard this a few months ago that teams were reaching out to gauge his interest level. Steve Nash is very invested in the soccer. I think he's financially invested into a soccer team or two as well, if I'm not mistaken. I heard that getting Steve Nash to really consider coming out of retirement and being that guy again full time, I heard it was very tough. But here's what happened, and there are a lot of elephants in this room that I need to address as well. I think I'll start by explaining to you what happened. Steve Nash was a consultant for the Golden State Warriors while Kevin Durant was there. Kevin Durant liked and got to know Steve Nash very well. They communicate quite often. They're friends, which I could see the good in that, and I also could see the bad in that, because to me, what Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving will need is what I talked about the other day with Russell Westbrook and James Harden. They need someone who's going to keep it real with them. The friendship thing, I see the good in that. I also see the bad in that. I think Kevin Durant and Steve Nash are going to really be able to talk some X and O's with each other. But are you going to be willing to call Kevin Durant out when he takes 3 bad shots in a row? One thing that Kevin Durant did not like in OKC, remember, is that at the time, the head coach of the basketball club, Scott Brooks, and then Billy Donovan, they wouldn't call out Russell Westbrook. KD wanted the coaching staff to tell Westbrook, yo, give the ball to KD. He did not want to be that guy. That's not his personality. He's not demonstrative in his approach at life, let alone basketball. He wanted the coach to do that. The coaches were passive-aggressive, which led to Kevin Durant leaving OKC. So will Steve Nash be the guy? His personality doesn't strike me as the guy to be that type of person, but only time will tell. Now, keep it moving. Kevin Durant loves Steve Nash. I'm sure he had a lot of input in that, which I do like, by the way. I love hearing that Kevin Durant was the guy that got his friend as the head coach versus Kyrie Irving getting somebody that he liked as the head coach of this basketball team. And the reason why I say that is because reportedly, and again, Kevin Durant has denied this, but reportedly, we've seen Kevin Durant lie in the past. Reportedly, had Kevin Durant not injured his Achilles, Kevin Durant preferred to play with the Knicks, not the Nets. But he lost a lot of leverage. Kyrie preferred Nets over Knicks. And if that's the case, we've already seen Kyrie shift where you guys are going to play. I like that, KD was able to, because he's the better player between him and Kyrie. I like that we're rolling with the better players' judgment for coach. I don't necessarily I don't necessarily care for Kyrie's decision making. I'm not the fondest of it. So I think Kevin Durant making this decision. Say what you want about KD. You can say he got the burner account and all that mess. KD knows basketball. KD studies the game of basketball. He's a lifer of the game. He's in love. I be on a couple of mutual friends that me and Kevin Durant got. I be on their live streams and I'll randomly see KD in there. KD loves Maryland, DC basketball. He's just in love with it, right? So he just loves this game so much. He's always around people that love the game, talking to people. So I like that KD made the decision. I'm sure he's got the right people around him helping him make this type of decision and gauge the interest of Steve Nash. Now, back to Steve Nash. The conversation that a lot of people are going to want to have with me is, Steve Nash has no coaching experience. He gets a head coaching position over a black candidate, right? Because it's disrespectful. The game of basketball is 75-80% African American, and the amount of black head coaches in the league and the chances that black head coaches are given is absolutely disrespectful. The most disrespectful thing I could tell you literally happened like 2 weeks ago. Nate McMillan signs an extension with the Indiana Pacers, and 4 days later, because his Pacers team got swept, they were missing their best player, their all-star Domantas Sabonis, who was out with plantar fasciitis, might I add. 4 days after signing an extension, the Pacers fire the coach that they just gave an extension to. He just so happens to be African American. And Nate McMillan did a great job there in Indiana. He got the most, he squeezed as much as he could out of that lemon in Indiana. let's see if they can find a coach that can mimic that. I doubt it. I expect the Pacers to go backwards, not upwards next year. Yes, black head coaches around the National Basketball Association are not given fair opportunities. They're not treated on the same accord. Patrick Ewing, I know he's having fun at Georgetown, and best of luck to him. He's dealing with the death of his guy, his former head coach. He's at Georgetown right now, but Patrick Ewing, he was an assistant for many years. He deserved a head coaching position at the most elite level, at the professional level. He never got it. But a guy like Steve Nash, who's a great player, this dude was a 2-time MVP, he's the first ballot Hall of Famer, all that great stuff. He comes out of nowhere and gets a head coaching job. Obviously, Steve Nash was around when Steve Kerr got that job with the Warriors, and Steve Kerr's had a crap ton of success. He's got 3 championships as a head coach. But I do want to add this in as well. I think it's important to say this. Steve Kerr did come from media, and Nash is not the greatest of talkers. He's not a bad talker. He's a great communicator, but he's not the greatest of talkers, right? There's a difference between talking and communicating with me. He can get his point across, but let's see how he adjusted. Steve Kerr is actually a phenomenal talker, right? So I think Steve Kerr can be great with his team, but is he going to be great doing the interviews, doing all the other stuff, calming down situations that happen when the media starts their narratives and all that good stuff? I'm interested to see how this goes. I actually think it's a pretty good hire, all things considered. And I'll say this to end the black head coach conversation. To me, this ain't the one, right? The fact that a black head coach ain't taking this role, I'm not mad at it. And the reason why I'm saying that is I don't think this is a great job to have. I don't think this is a great job. And the reason why I don't think it's a great job is because it's a high risk, high reward type of ordeal. You come in and you have success and you win a championship with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. It only takes one ring to become one of the 5 to 6 best coaches in the NBA. The truth, right? But if you lose, the amount of media attention, one could assume that, if I'm judging from Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving's past relationships, KD with how he left Russell Westbrook and Russ called him a cupcake, and KD leaving Golden State, and looks like there's some bad blood between him and Draymond, and obviously how Kyrie Irving and Bron ended. These dudes are both aloof personalities. If I'm reading them correctly, if this thing goes south, it's going to be really bad. It's going to create a lot of media headlines, and I don't want that on a black head coach. Because to me, that's like you never get another job again if you do bad in Brooklyn. There's going to be so many eyes on this thing, so your mistakes will be glorified and put on extreme levels. And if you're speaking in that black head coaching circumstance, according to Woj at ESPN, apparently part of the deal was if Steve Nash was hired as head coach, Jacques Vaughn, who did a great job as that assistant coach, got that Nets team into the postseason. A lot of people believe the Wizards would hawk him. According to Woj, part of the agreement was you keep Coach Vaughn on as the assistant coach, as he was the interim head coach of the team. So you keep him around that staff. He did a good job. I would have loved to see him get the job, but at least they're keeping him on the staff. So I do like that. Now again, Steve Nash, we'll see how he works with Kevin Durant as his head coach, not his friend. See, it's one thing, I could tell my homie what I want him to do. I could tell him all day and night, I want him to do this, I want him to do that. But if he's now my employee, that changes the dynamics of our relationship. In Kevin Durant and Steve Nash's situation, it's Coach Nash's job, not Steve's job, to tell you, I don't like when you do this. Let's do more of that. And maybe Kevin Durant will be receptive to that. Kevin Durant seemingly listens to his coaches, right? Like KD, with everything else that was going on between him and Draymond and Golden State, KD never quit on Steve Kerr, at least from what I saw, unless I don't know. I could not know everything. He never quit on Steve Kerr. He gave it his all. He probably gave too much. He tried to play on a freaking half-torn Achilles, right? So I think KD and Nash could work out fine if they can get over the friendship hurdles. Now it's Kyrie. Because, in the back of Steve Nash's mind, he thinking like, this dude couldn't wipe my shoes. I don't care how good of a scorer he is. He don't understand the simple X's and O's of the game like I do. I'm Steve Nash. I could do, if it gets rocky, I wouldn't be doubt if Steve Nash, hops out of that chair as coach and tries to be the point guard of that damn team. I mean, all the pieces are in place to win big in the East. Giannis and the Bucks are down 2-0 right now. I'm just saying. I'm playing. But still, though, yeah, I'm excited to see what Nash can do with this team. To me, not a great job. It's high risk, high reward. The thing with Steve Nash is, I believe if I'm reading this situation correctly, Kevin Durant had to do some convincing to Steve Nash to get him to be the head coach of this team. Also, the GM of the Nets, remember, Sean Marks is a guy that actually played with Steve Nash many years ago in Phoenix. So remember that as well. If I'm reading this situation correctly, if this don't work out for Steve Nash, he probably ain't gonna want to coach again. So, I mean, like, if Steve Kerr leaves Golden State, he's done. It ain't gonna be another job. If I'm reading Steve Nash correctly, though he's younger than Steve Kerr by a significant amount, I don't think coaching is something that Steve Nash wants to do or loves. I think he's just doing it because a friend asked him to do it, which is kind of crazy. Maybe he grows to love it. We will see. But yeah, I'm super interested to see this. Another interesting personality on that team is Spencer Dinwiddie. Very aloof personality, just kind of a weird guy. Kyrie, kind of a weird guy. Kevin Durant's got a burner account. I'm just saying, man, there are some interesting components with this Brooklyn Nets team that I'm very interested to see Steve Nash and Jacques Vaughn handle. All right? And I never thought Ty Lue would get a chance at this job. A lot of people were speculating that. I know he won with Cleveland. Let's be clear. Kyrie didn't like Ty Lue as the head coach. He thought he was too favorable to LeBron. He didn't like him as head coach. He did not like Ty Lue as head coach. I'm sure Kyrie told the Nets, you could give me anybody but Ty Lue, as a matter of fact. I don't want to play with him again. Y'all let me know what y'all think and how y'all think Steve Nash will be as a head coach for the Brooklyn Nets. Oh, this is going to make next season that much more exciting. Whenever next season happens. I'm out.